everyone, and welcome to Reflections with Rao. Today we have a very special guest who actually has filled two roles and is filling one right now. Susan Knoll is a parent here in the School District of Lancaster, so we are super pleased to have her. But also, Susan used to work in STOL as an SFRS, a School and Family Resource Specialist. So welcome, Susan. And Susan is involved with funding, fair funding in particular, which is very, very important for the School District of Lancaster, but for many school districts and many, many children. So Susan, what is the problem with school funding in Pennsylvania?
Thank you for having me, Dr. Rao, and allowing me to talk about this really important topic. The problem with school funding here in Pennsylvania is that apparently we don't really prioritize it or see it as a priority, or at least we don't try to ensure that all children in our state have access to well-funded and well-resourced schools. So as a state, we don't devote a lot of money to education just in general. We devote about 37% of our state's budget to public education. So the problem that causes is that we have to rely on local property taxes to raise funds for our schools and to get what we need. And that can be a problem for districts like the School District of Lancaster that have that are low wealth and don't have a lot of property tax base that we can rely on. Another thing that makes us unique is that we do have a lot of churches in our areas. We have a lot of nonprofit organizations to help a lot of our families. But unfortunately, that also means that they don't pay taxes on their property. So we lose a lot of property tax funding that way too. So we kind of have a double whammy. But what's probably the most problematic thing about this is that our state legislatures or our state legislators don't seem to have a plan to fix it. In 2016, a bipartisan group of lawmakers came together and tried to fix it, and they came up with this formula called the Fair Funding Formula that would start to solve a little bit of the inequities between districts by making sure that districts get what they need for their students in a more equitable way. But the problem is that they decided to let that fair funding formula apply only to new money. Any new money they decided to allocate to state education monies. So as a result, right now, only about 10% of our education budget in our state is money that gets distributed equitably to districts. And the rest goes through a very old formula that pays smaller districts than ours. And we have a very large district, as you know. A lot more money because it's based on student data from a really long time ago.
That's right. And for those of you who may not be aware, the School District of Lancaster and other school districts, along with the NAACP and some parents have filed a lawsuit against the state because of that inequity and the Constitution, which guarantees every student an adequate, effective education. So Susan, who's responsible for changing the current system?
So ultimately, our state representatives, so our state senators and our House representatives are probably the most responsible. They're the ones who make the bills that address inequities in our school district. They're the ones who decide how much money we want to allocate to education. So really, they're the ones who are most responsible. And so are we as constituents, because we vote them into office. So we are responsible as constituents in our district and in our county for relaying our values around education and the belief that every child should have access to a strong and well-resourced education. We are responsible for letting our lawmakers know that that means something to us and that's important to us. A lot of times we talk about, or we blame, I think, sometimes the school board members for not, funding our schools well, but that's not really accurate. Our school board members are in charge of deciding how the little money we do get from the state and from property taxes gets spent. But ultimately, our state legislators are responsible. We are very unique here in Lancaster County because we happen to have some of the most powerful legislators in education and policy in our state right here in Lancaster County. So we are represented by Senator Scott Martin, and he is also the chair of the Senate Education Committee. So he actually has a lot of power in the decision-making around which bills go up for votes. We also have Brian Cutler right here in Lancaster County, and he is the Speaker of the House. So he's also a very powerful person. And just our House representatives are also very important. Yeah, so those are all, and we're also, I was going to say too, as community members, we're responsible for talking to our neighbors and talking to our communities, our church communities, about this issue and educating people about it, and really bringing everybody together to support strong and well-resourced schools throughout the Commonwealth.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I often get asked by parents, well, what can we do to help the school district and other school districts? Because as you said, there are many children who are being shortchanged from this antiquated formula that is being used.
Yeah, so aside from, really becoming an involved constituent and contacting your legislators and letting them know how important this is to you, and relaying your values to them around education, we have a great opportunity coming up, and it is it's a fair funding rally. It's a rally for PA Public Schools. It's happening on May 15, Saturday, May 15 at 10 o'clock in the morning. We're going to start at McCaskey Victory Field. So that's the field right in front of JP High School, McCaskey High School. And we are hoping everybody comes out. It's in Lancaster, but we want to invite everybody in our county and even beyond, because like you said, this is something that is not only impacting the school district of Lancaster. Harrisburg is going through a similar situation. York has a similar situation. Reading also is going through a similar situation. So we really want to extend this invitation to everybody to come together and to let our voices be heard by those state legislators about how we feel about this issue and that we feel like it needs to be fixed. So we have a powerful lineup of speakers. We have teachers. We have a really amazing student who's going to speak. You, Dr. Rao, are going to speak. We have a councilman who's coming. So I think everybody is going to bring their own unique perspectives on how this issue of underfunding our schools impacts them personally. And for that reason, I think it's going to be really powerful. And I hope that our entire community comes out, and not just the school district of Lancaster, but our neighboring districts. We really need them to support us. Healthy public schools and education is it talks a lot, it speaks a lot to the health of the community, right? And I think we all want to make sure that our communities are safe and healthy and well-educated.
Well, thank you, Susan. That was a lot of very, very important information. This recording is recorded, so I want parents to go back, listen to it, share it with their friends and families, because without our communities, all communities, coming out and supporting this fair funding rally, this is about all kids, right? We want every single child to get what they deserve. And we can only do that if the community raises their voice. So thank you for spending time with us, for making it really clear so that people would understand it. And I look forward to May 15th, 10 o'clock, J.P. McCaskey's Victory Field. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you there.
Thank you.